Forget about the fills. Forget about being clever. Just play the dang song.
So many different superstars in your life and all in different genres.
Yeah, people said to me, you know, what, you mean you told that to Michael Jackson? And I said, well, he didn't hire me to just sit there. He hired me to play. I know a lot of stuff. I've been around a long time.
You're the king of time, and it appears that you were even born at the perfect time.
Well, I said, I'm going to be a drummer. And they said, you can't do that. It's not a real job. Ringo Starr does it. They said, yeah, but you're not Ringo Starr.
So how'd you get the gig with George Harrison?
You come to Japan with me? I was like, yeah.
Average White Band. You do Cut the Cake. Schoolboy Crush ends up becoming one of the most sampled songs ever.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that? Did it benefit you at all?
People for years have been willing to spend fortunes so that they don't have to pay a musician. And here we are, not going anywhere.
You saw Metronome come into the situation. You saw Tape to Digital.
Click track.
You saw Click Track.
I worked hard on my tempo. Jeff Porcaro, he said, you have a problem playing with the click? I said, no, it's easy. He said, take the money and click.
Eric Clapton. How'd you meet Eric?
He sent me a big check. I called him up and said, I think you made a mistake. You gave me too much money. And they said, Mr. Clapton wants you to have that money. What are you doing next month? And that was the beginning of it.
So Tom Petty goes to make Wildflowers with Rick Rubin. How did this all come
It took me years to find out what happened. It's top secret. Tom turns to Mike and he says, what a difference a drummer makes, huh? I'm standing on, well, what does that mean?
You're the guy everyone wants to hang with, man. People want your energy around. I'm already thinking of how we extend this interview so you don't leave.
Yeah.
Go.
Let's go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We have yet another incredible guest for you this week, the Pocket King himself, Mr. Steve Ferrone. Steve is one of the greatest drummers of all time and one of the most amazing humans. He spent over 20 years with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and also had an amazing career with Average White Band, where he became one of the most sampled drummers of all time, as well as George Harrison, Duran Duran, Eric Clapton, and so much more. We get into it all. It's a nearly 3-hour deep dive, and I hope you enjoy this conversation and get to learn so much about the amazing human that is Steve Ferrone. We thank you so much for the support we've been receiving. We greatly appreciate it. We love hearing all your positive feedback. If you'd like to get more involved with the show and you'd like to support us the best way that you can, then you can please sign up on our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/gowithelmo. We have 2 packages on there and you get a lot of awesome access into the show. You can find out who the guests are in advance. You can write them questions. You can write me questions and I'll respond to you directly in the chat. On top of that, there's a ton of exclusive footage that only lives on our Patreon. So we have footage of Dave Weckl giving us a studio tour of his home studio. We have footage from Steve Ferrone talking about retirement and the union and how to invest. We have footage with Antonio Sanchez talking about submitting for Grammys and his thoughts on AI. There's a lot in there. So if you'd like to get even more involved with the show, talk directly with me, submit questions to the guests, and even go to the Jam Jam, then please sign up on our Patreon, patreon.com/gowithelmo. One way that you can support us for free is to like, subscribe, share the show with your music-loving friends. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate your love and support. Without further ado, here is my conversation with the amazing Steve Ferrone. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Steve Ferrone.
Sound effects, yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Steve, this is a professional podcast.
It is, isn't it?
This is like the Steve Ferrone of podcasts. It's not near that level. We're on the way though.
You should have been an actor instead of a drummer. This is very good. You got all this, you got all the facial stuff going.
Oh, thanks, man. You do too. You got that wonderful Steve Ferrone smile.
They tell me.
You know?
They always talk about that.
It's done well for you.
Yeah, I got a lot to smile about.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the smile. So born April 25th, 1950 in Brighton, UK.
That's right.
So you're the king of time, and it appears that you were even born at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Everything from the minute you were born was the right timing. So age 3, you start tap dancing.
That's right.
You learn rhythm, song structure, all those things.
Yeah.
You see a band play.
Not consciously, but I did learn it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
embedded it within you.
Yeah.
You see a band play. You see girls dancing. You start realizing this could be the path.
This is it.
You get some of the lads together and you saw her standing there.
That was it. Well, actually, there was one little bit that you missed out,
Okay.
and that was the experience of working in a summer show with Max Bygraves. A guy named Max Bygraves is a big star in England.
Yep.
And he had a children's chorus for a summer show, 6 weeks, and going out, and with the twist was all the thing then.
Yes.
You know? So I was out there and I was doing the twist, and I looked down and I saw the drummer. Oh, how's he doing that? Oh, let me see. And I went upstairs and started to practice. I shared a dressing room with Max's son, Anthony, who passed away a few months ago, who was also a drummer.
Wow.
Who also became a drummer. We sort of practiced our motor skills together.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that kind of gives you the bug of like, oh, I should start playing drums. I should get this.
Well, no, actually, no, because what happened was that it intrigued me how the motor skills intrigued me. And then I started listening as I was up there doing the twist. And what's he doing with that beat?
Yeah.
I hear the foot going. So I went up and I practiced that and I got that going.
Yes.
Then afterwards, when I went to this dance hall, Manfred Mann's band showed up to do the... well, I used to go dance with the girls there. Yeah. And they're all very nice, but it would be like, thanks for the dance, goodbye. That was it. Now, I was watching James Bond, right? And he was getting all these girls all over him and raging hormones.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wanted to be like James Bond. And then Manfred Mann's band showed up and they did this sound check for us little kids, and every little girl in the place were just throwing themselves at the band. And I said to my friends, that's what we're going to do. And that was it. That was the start of it.
And then so Beatles come out.
So I was standing there. It was I knew that song.
So you were what? You were 14?
No, 12, I think, something like that. Wow. Yeah, 12. Well, maybe 14.
I think it came out in 64.
Sorry, okay, well, yeah, then 14.
Yeah. And it's just so crazy that here you are as a 14-year-old, and you get your mates together, and you and learn these songs, and you play Saw Her Standing There, and then it's like years later, you're playing with George Harrison, you're playing these Beatles hits, you're in a band with George Harrison and Eric Clapton, and it's just like, what a crazy life story to be able to experience that.
Yeah. Yep. It was interesting. As a matter of fact, just I was out on the road with Mike Campbell, and we opened for Ringo.
Wow!
And we were standing there talking, and somebody took a photograph of us talking. And
you and Ringo?
Yeah,
yeah.
And they sent it to me, and I sent it. I got a school friend, a guy I went to school with, and I said, "You remember what those asshole teachers used to say about me? They used to call me Ringo and everything. Well, take a look at this."
Wow. So they would call you Ringo just because you were like, okay, wanting to play drums, and they were like,
well, when they said, "What do you want to do when you leave school?" I said, "I'm going to be a drummer. I want to be a drummer." And they said, "You can't do that. It's not a real job."
Right.
So I said, "Well, Ringo Starr does it." They said, "Yeah, but you're not Ringo Starr." I said, "No, but I can hang with Ringo."
Yeah.
And then they started to mock me and call me Ringo. So I went on strike. That was it. Down tools, no more study, no more. I used to box for the school, no more of that. I used to play football, no more football. No studying. Refused to study. And all I did was play drums.
Wow. Yeah. Incredible.
I wasn't really expected to go to university or anything either. My rank in the social ladder was get a job doing something. Tradesman best.
Yeah,
a plumber or something maybe. No.
So before we get all the way to the later years with Ringo and George and everything, so if you start gigging a lot, you're a teenager. But the first, correct me if I'm wrong, the first band to really put you on a pedestal was Average White Band.
Yeah.
So what led?
No.
Okay, so what led to you getting Average White Band?
Brian Auger. He is an organist. I think it's like 83 now, Brian.
Amazing.
Yeah. And really good. He had a band called The Trinity, which is Brian Auger and Julie Driscoll. And they had a big hit called Wheels on Fire. which they use for Absolutely Fabulous. Have you ever seen Absolutely Fabulous?
No.
You never seen Absolutely Fabulous?
No.
Oh my God!
Come on.
Okay, yeah, you can find it on what is that? BritBox, I think. Yeah, Absolutely Fabulous. A very, very funny series, and they use that song "Wheels on Fire."
So that was your first time getting a.
Yeah, well, I jammed with him. I was in Italy. Robbie McIntosh, who was the original drummer with Average White Band.
Right.
We became friends in Italy, and he played in a band called the Senate. I was working with a guy named Ronnie Jones, who's also still alive. He's going to say like 85, 86 now. Lives in Italy. And Ronnie, and then Robbie moved from the Senate, and he played. I think he played with the Piranhas. That's when he played with the Piranhas. And then I'd moved around with a couple of different bands. And when he left the Piranhas, I went into the Piranhas, and he went to Brian Auger. But during that time,
oh wow!
During that time, he came back with Brian, and they did some work in Italy. And we were in a club and we jammed, and we I sat in, and we had a great time with each other, really good friends. And then when Robbie moved on from Brian Auger, I got this call. There was another guy before me. He did that album Straight Ahead with Brian Auger. He was with the band. Then he moved on, and then Brian. I was still living in the south of France, and Brian called me up and said, "You want to go to America?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You got 3 days." So I sold all my stuff, sold my car, got rid of the stuff, all my stuff, and packed a suitcase. Got on a plane, went to England.
Why were you living in the south of France, and why did you guys meet in Italy?
Well, there was lots of work in Italy, club work. And then on my 21st birthday, someone said to me, they said, in this band I was working in, a French band, the Piranhas, I replaced Robbie. We're going to go to live in Nice for a year. Do you want to come and live in Nice for a year? We can, we got this residency in the casino, year's work, no problem. And these guys, they were all schooled musicians. They could all read music, and I'd started getting interested in it. And I was at that age, I was going to be 21, and it was like, well, I got to do something. Now I've been messing around, just running around the clubs and hanging out in the clubs, having a great time, being a kid. Now I got to sort of do something to settle down. I'd run into some Americans that were computer guys, and they were talking to me about computers, and I kind of found that interesting. And I thought, well, maybe I could go back to England and go back to school, maybe do that. And then this offer came up to go to the south of France, and I said, well, could you get me into the conservatory there, because they all were graduates of this conservatory of music in Nice. And they said, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. So that was my flip of the coin. So go back to England, go to school, or go to the south of France and go to school. And because I knew that if I was going to be a pro, there was stuff that I had to learn.
Yeah.
And so I was there for 3 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That was the right decision.
I mean, I didn't have a telephone. They called the casino and said, "There's a phone call for you from England." I immediately thought the worst thing, my mother or something. I said, and went to the phone, and it was Brian. He said, "You want to go to America?" And I said, "Yeah, I was ready." Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you got rid of all your stuff and went.
Got rid of my stuff, and I went.
And
3 days later, I was in New York.
In New York. Wow.
Wow. Riding up 6th Avenue. Wow.
First time in New York?
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I had my drum kit on a cart going through the immigration, customs.
Oh my God.
Customs guy looked at me and he said, "Musician, huh?" Yeah. He said, "You got any drugs?" And I said, "No." He said, "New York City, sir, there's plenty." Bang, stamp my passport, let me go through.
Yeah, you don't need to bring sand to the beach.
No. Yeah.
Wow, welcome to New York City.
Yeah. And then we stayed in this hotel on 53rd and 6th Avenue. And it was opposite this the jazz what was the New York Jazz Museum at that point. And so people would go in there and just jam on Sundays. So, go and sit in there. There was all these people in there just playing music. It was fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is my place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So then what next? What was the next breakthrough on your path?
We went back to England, and I got I learned about this band called GONZALEZ, which was a bunch of studio musicians, and they play at Ronnie Scott's or Dingwall's or a couple of these other clubs around that they would play, and the deal was, if they asked you to be in the band, it was your seat until you got busy, and then you left, and then somebody else would come in.
Nice.
Glenn LaFleur or somebody like that would come in and take the seat, and it was his seat until he couldn't make it. He had a session or something, or had to go on tour, and then whoever got invited back in, it was their seat.
Wow.
And so I got invited into this band, GONZALEZ, by a guy named Mick, who was a tenor saxophone player, who was kind of an indestructible guy, who could get out of any problem. Amazing guy, amazing fellow.
Get out of any problem.
Yeah, oh man, yeah. I mean, if you can imagine, they had this beat up old bus, and this. I wasn't with the band then. I was living in Italy, so I'd met these people. Right?
Yeah,
and they went to Sicily, and the bus broke down. Right, and nobody had any money, so Mick went and found a gig and played the gig for a week in this club. Got the money together, got the bus fixed, and got everybody back to England.
That's awesome.
Oh man, he was, and that was just one of the stories. He was always in something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, he was unflappable.
So that band was like a springboard, really.
Yeah. So then I get invited into play. So we're going out and doing these clubs around and doing sessions in the day, doing this, that, and the other, and we were playing in Ronnie Scott's, and this guy came up, wanted to meet the band, talk to the band. His name was Mike Vernon, and he said, "I'm doing an album at my studio in Chipping Norton, which is a tiny little village in Oxfordshire. I want this band to play on the album." Whose album is it? Freddie King. Okay, so off we all went down to Chipping Norton. And met Freddie down there, larger than life, Freddie King.
Wow.
And we cut Burglar.
Wow.
And that was my first album, complete album as a studio musician.
Did you already have your sound, your style that you're so known for at that time?
Well, I'd done a couple of little dates here and there. In Italy, I had a friend named Lally Stott who wrote a song called Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep. I don't know if you've ever heard that. It was a bubblegum hit. It was covered all over the place. Wow. As a matter of fact, Katie Kassoon, who was a background vocalist with Eric Clapton, in Eric Clapton's band, she had a massive hit with it. And anyway, Lally said to me, "I got this song. It needs a drum introduction. Right? It needs a drum thing to start the song off." And he played me this song, "Where's Your Mama Gone? Where's your mama gone?" Yeah, just and I thought, "Where's your mama gone?" So that was it. We covered that, and then at the end of the session, he said, "Okay, do you want a piece of this, or I'll give you 100,000 lira," which was about £40.
Okay,
which was for me at that point was a week's wages.
Yeah,
and I thought, Give me the 100,000 lira.
Yeah.
Boy, I would have made a lot of money.
Oh.
There was covers all over the planet. All over here, there was a load of covers in the United States. All a big, massive hit, bubblegum music. And but the other side of that is that had I said, yeah, I'll take a piece of it, which if I'd have known what that meant, it was, I'll get paid later, pay me now. I would have made so much money. I don't know what would have happened. I can tell you what happened to Lally. Lally did very well out of that. And he decided to buy himself a motorbike. And he ran himself up a tree and killed himself. Yeah. So,
wow.
The ups and downs, I mean, good. I got this thing, I could buy a motorbike, and then he gets into an accident and dies. And yeah. So I didn't die, but I got good and drunk.
Good thing you did not have enough money to buy a motorbike.
Exactly.
You could not afford that decision.
There's been a lot of those things in retrospect that have happened. You can say, make a right turn or a left turn. And
so you make friends with Robbie McIntosh in Italy when you guys are young.
Yeah. There was myself, Alex Lidgerwood. They were both in the Senate. Alex was, you know Alex? You know?
No.
Alex sang on Winning with Santana.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. He's an amazing singer, great friend, been a great friend for years. So, Alex and Robbie worked together and they stayed in this pensione called Pensione, which was just off of Via Veneto in Rome. And I stayed in that pensione with Hugh Bullen and Calvin Bullen, the guitarist. I stayed with him in that pensione, and we used to go out and get drunk a lot. So on my I think on my 18th birthday, we were in the Colosseum, or four of us. And there was lots of cats in the Colosseum living in the with a couple of big, massive bottles of Chianti, and we were just blotto. And that was it. Yeah. And then, to get back to the timeline, then this guy Mike Vernon was so happy with my playing. He called me up and he said, "I'm doing a record out in Los Angeles with a band called Bloodstone. You want to come out there and do that?" So I came out here and started working with Bloodstone. Mm. And then that was at the same time that the Average White Band was just starting to get airplay. As a matter of fact, Gonzalez, we opened at the Roundhouse in London. We opened for Average White Band. It was a great show.
Wow.
Yeah, because Gonzalez was just smoking and the Average White Band came out and they were just killing it. And so that was, I was good friends, really good friends with Hamish and Robbie introduced me to Hamish, and Hamish and I always been very close.
That was your first time in LA.
Yeah.
And you got Robbie already as a pal for years already. He's in Average White.
Second time in LA. First time was with Brian Auger. So second when I came back out with
there's a lot of synergy already happening in like the beginning of your life.
Yeah.
With these people that end up being, collaborators or friends. Mm-hmm. And seats filling. You're already filling a seat for Robbie even before Average White Band. Right. That's incredible.
Yeah, it seems to be my plan. I'm the replacement drummer.
the world's
always
best,
the replacement.
World's best replacement drummer. Were you opening more shows with Average White Band, or how did you get close to them? Was it just because you made friends with Hamish or Robbie?
Well, no, Robbie. Yeah. I mean, I was friends with Robbie and Hamish, and so I'd go and see them when they played in London. I'd go and see them. We'd hang out, and we socialized, and then I was out here, and they were here, and they were working at the Troubadour, mm-hmm. and I was working on this film with Bloodstone. So film schedules, you have to go here, go there, do that. Now they wanted me there. I wasn't exactly in the film, but I had to be there in case they wanted to do somebody might want to go over some incidental music. Mm-hmm. And so I had to be there on the set with them. They employed me. And so Robbie called me up and said, "There's going to be a big party after the Troubadour. You want to come down, hang out?" And I said, "I'd love to. If I could make it down there, I'll be there. I got to work that night. They're doing this movie thing." He said, "Okay, well, come on, come if you can." And the next morning, I didn't make it because I was working the late shoot, you know, and I didn't make it. And this morning I woke up, and my drum tech, a guy who was a drum tech for me with Brian, a guy named Terry Merchant, called me up and he said, "Hey, Steve, Robbie's dead." And I said, "What, they're drunk?" And he said, "No, Robbie's dead."
Oh, man.
And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I don't know." So I got on the phone, tracked down Hamish, and they were staying at this hotel just over there in Studio City. And I went, I think it's called the Garland Hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still here, yeah.
Yeah. And I went over there and we all just sat around drinking and, you know, what the hell? Scary time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What happened? And so it was, look, you guys are on the verge of having a big hit. You know, Robbie wouldn't want you to stop. He wanted you to keep going.
Yeah.
If there's anything I can do to help, you know, I'm there. You know. And then they called up and they said, "Well, look, we got a gig to do. Can you come and do?" "Yeah, sure." When I couldn't do it, Styx Hooper would do it from the Crusaders. And so, you know, backwards and forwards doing that. A weekend here, play a little bit here, a little bit there. It was funny. There was this turning, they were opening for Billy Cobham's band, which had the Brecker Brothers in it, who I was huge. I was a huge fan of the Brecker Brothers.
Yeah.
And from afar, from Europe, from when I was in France, I loved their music, and got to meet them. And then a few days later, Pick Up the Pieces was doing so well. Headline switched. We became headliners, and they were us. And it was really, really fun. It was, you know, and we played at the old Long Beach Arena, and we did a show, and it was a bit of a challenge because people weren't quite aware then what Average White Band was. You know? I think they might have thought, because the band was an authentic band, they might have thought it was a black band. You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, we'd roll up, and 5 white guys and me. And there would be this like, well, this sort of like, well, okay, well, show us what you got. Sort of thing, you know? And the band was happy to oblige because it was an authentic band. Robbie and I, one of the things that made us such good friends, we grew up listening to the same music, Stax, Motown. We loved that. Yeah. We'd go out dancing to that. We loved all that stuff. Yeah, and I'd started off in a blues band. Robbie had started off in a blues band. I played with Chuck Berry. So there was this same sort of mixture of music that we'd grown up with, you know, and so we had the same sort of taste in music. We liked it. We liked listening to each other. Yeah. We liked the way that each other played. And so it clicked. Yeah, it clicked. So we're down at Long Beach Arena and walk out on stage, and there's a bunch of people just sitting there with the show me stuff. And it's like, oh, here we go. So we get up and we start playing.
What are all these haters? Just like
well, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on back then. You know, white radio wouldn't play black radio wouldn't play white radio. It was all just bullshit. But, you know,
so then they probably didn't know what to do with you guys having called Average White Band. Right,
exactly.
Where does this fit?
I remember once we got some disc jockey, I think in Florida, got a hard on for the band and banned us from playing on because we were a white band. And I called the guy up and said, "Hey, you do know what I am, right? I'm the drummer, right? You do know who I am and what I am."
Got it back in the rotation.
Yeah. So, anyways, we played this gig, and I see that I remember the gig. We were sitting there, and people were just sort of. And then I see sort of homing on this one guy, and he's sitting there, and his head starts going. Yeah. And it kind of radiated out from this guy, you know. And by the end of this show, the whole place was just going crazy. Oh, it's so dancing, cool. Having a great time. And get to pick up the pieces, and they just went berserk, right?
How much fun is it to play Pick Up the Pieces?
Oh, it still is fun. I never get tired of that. It's a good song. You don't get tired of playing good songs.
Yeah, it's so good.
So we did all that, and I came off the stage, and I'm in the dressing room, and this little guy walks up to me, and he was funny looking little guy. So he's not short. He had on he was sports jacket, shirt and tie, glasses, and he talked like a jazzer. So he came up to me and he said, "You gotta be in the band. You gotta be in this band." And I said, "Well, you know, I'd love to, but you know, I'm actually under contract to another band, Bloodstone. I can't do that. I can't leave him for that. But I can help him out." "I don't care what you say. You're out of that band and you're in this band." And he turned around and he walked away. And I like, you know, and Bruce McCaskill, the manager, was there too. "Who the hell's that?" He said, "AHMET ERTEGUN."
The most powerful person in the music industry.
And I was out of that band and I was in that band.
You absolutely were.
Yeah.
And that was the move.
That was it. Yeah.
Wow. I like that he even had the vibe on the drummers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. AHMET was he was fantastic.
Wow.
When I grow up, I want to be just like AHMET ERTEGUN. I know he's dead now, but I probably will be that too. But I want to be like he was when he's, you know. I remember I went to this party. I think it was a party for Foreigner, and they had it in one of those clubs. Like it wasn't Studio 54, but there was another one that was like it in a theater in New York. And I went there and I wandered upstairs up to the balcony in the you know, the VIP area, and I wandered in there. And there was AHMET, and he was sitting there with like 3 girls with the biggest boobs that you ever saw ever. It was that was just AHMET. And AHMET said, Steve. And he said to this guy, "What's your name again? What's your This is Steve Ferrone, the best drummer in the world."
Best drummer.
Yeah. It's like, oh, man, God love AHMET.
Wow, so he took a liking to you immediately.
Look, AHMET, I could call up and if I had something I wanted to talk to him about, I'd call him up and say, "Is AHMET available?" And they say, "Terry, come over and see him at this time." And I'll go over and he'd open up his office and walk in there. He was one of those guys, he's got kind of a little bit like Rick Rubin, you know, that has had really good instinct for song, you know. I remember we were in the studio. I think we were doing something with Average White Band. Oh yeah, we were mixing. I think we were mixing an Average White Band song. And AHMET was over in Studio A in Atlantic, and he came over and he said, "I need you to come in, come over. Yeah, I got this song. It needs, you know, it needs." And I sat down and I listened to the song, Brian Ferry song, "Dance Away," and it was all in like cut time, you know. And I said, "Well, you know, I could just put a bass drum on it and make it." It was like boom, and I just put this bass drum that was up, boom, 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 like a heartbeat to it, and there it was, "Dance Away." and then I think Brian was stuck on. He said, AHMET said, he said, "You know what Brian said to me?" He said, "That's really cool." He said, "Who did that?" He said, Steve Ferrone put the bass drum on it." He said, "Well, I'm doing this album, and I want like New York studio musicians to do it." And AHMET said, "He is a studio musician." It was there. That was it.
Man, that's so. Would you go to the Atlantic offices to have those meetings with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, AHMET was the most powerful person in the music industry for so many years, like running Atlantic and Atlantic. I mean, grew Atlantic to what?
Absolutely.
To the iconic Atlantic. And do you remember what one of those calls would have been when you wanted to get advice or get something? Like, what would you look to him for?
The last one that I did try him with was when I was with Duran Duran, and a lot of people have been talking to me about why don't you get Average White Band back together? And I made a concerted effort to get Average White Band back together. And I think one of the big mistakes that we made was moving from Atlantic to Arista. So I actually called up and I asked if I could get to see AHMET. And he said, "Yeah, sure, come over." I went over and went in his office and I said, "Look, I'm going to try and get Average White Band back together." He said, "The original guy." Says, "Yeah." I said, "I was just wondering if if I managed to do that, get everyone back together, would you be interested in that? And he was like, I love that. Original guys. You know? And I said, yeah, sure. So I made an attempt and it failed.
You weren't into it?
No, it's Scots. It's like, I think the McGregors still don't like the Stuarts.
Yeah, man.
1,000 years later, they're still warring. I mean, I kind of talk to everybody. I think.
Wow.
But it sort of became two camps, and it was me and Hamish and Molly, and then Alan and Ronnie and Roger sort of retired. It was just impossible to get it back together.
So to go back, so you do Cut the Cake. It's your first album with them.
Yeah.
Arif Mardin producing. Schoolboy Crush, of course, comes out. Yeah. And when this whole sampling time came in, right?
Yeah.
And Schoolboy Crush becomes like such a huge sample.
They like the bells.
They like the bells.
They like the jingle bells.
The jingle.
And it was an afterthought. We had the track. It took us forever to get that track. I think we did something like 27 takes of it on one day. It just would not hang together. It's got this thing. It's just got to hang together. And in the end, Arif said, "Look, go home. Come back tomorrow. We'll do it fresh." So we all went off and did our stuff. Came back the next day. Walked in. Okay, let's run it down and just remember the arrangement. See if we got the arrangement. We played it. We said, "Okay, let's do a take." And Gene Paul was the engineer, as a Les Paul son. And we did the take, and we went in, and it started off okay, and it fell apart again. It was like, here we go again. Just got to nail this thing all the way through. And Gene said, "You want to listen to the run through?"
No way. So that was it from the beginning.
That was it.
You can't recreate it.
It was already there.
What were those jingle bells?
So we had this track, and I thought, they came together with this title, Schoolboy Crush, because we'd have the melody kind of, but it still needs some work, lyrics, and Schoolboy Crush sort of came up. And I was listening to it, and I said, it needs something schoolboyish, school kids bells, like jingle bells. It's like jingle bells. Belltree. Oh, jing, 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 jing. Let's put this on. And I put it on there. And boom.
Ended up loud in the mix.
Yeah. It's great. I loved it.
That's so okay. So I mean, Schoolboy Crush ends up becoming one of the most sampled songs ever.
Yeah.
Like that, it's a sample gold mine.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
I don't care.
Did it benefit you at all?
I got paid.
It did.
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes if you found out about it, you get paid.
But there was this like uncertain time of like how is sampling even paid for? Like when it came out, when it really was hitting.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess they sort of got it together. I mean,
later on,
yeah. I mean, before people would just grab a sample and there was no deal done. But you get a credit. They'd have to give you a writer credit if they did that. I mean, there was a couple of songs. I got this award came for like song of the year or something. That ASCAP an award came. I'm like, what is this song? And it was a song where they used really tiny little bit of a horn line. It's a little bit of a sample that they used of a track that we'd done. It never really bothered me. I know there was other people that I know, Nile Rodgers and Chic. There was some amazing stuff with Walk This Way. That was a whole different thing. It's like nobody knew, right? Yeah. They were like, "Hey, that's our song."
Yeah,
and they were like, "No, it isn't. It's ours."
Like, it has my name on it.
Right. There was all this area. There was this whole grey area of stuff. It was funny because I remember there was a band I liked. They had a song called "Bitch Better Have My Money." They had this other song called Janine Janine the Dick Fiend. It always started off with this phone conversation going on with this funny little thing going, do, 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 and then it would go into this thing. Well, they did on the next album that they put out, they did a reply, Janine calling up and being offended that she'd been called a dick fiend, right? and underneath it, there was Schoolboy Crush. Dig-a-dig, and I said, boy, and it was so funny. I said, I'm not even going to tell them that I've heard this. I said, I'd like them to have that for free.
Was it AMG?
AMG.
There it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, it is kind of crazy because like your first album that you cut with Average White Band ends up being sampled so heavily and ends up being this like huge hit. Do you remember the first time you heard yourself sampled?
No. No.
Must have been from Schoolboy Crush.
Probably.
Yeah. But you don't remember ever feeling a certain way about it. You're kind of indifferent, not happy, not sad, whatever.
I come through this thing of the Roger LINN drum machine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I remember Vinnie and I being down at the NAMM show, and Roger LINN, I had these
Vinnie COLAIUTA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd had these little pins made up with the drum set with like a no smoking sign with the things with it. And I ran into Vinnie, and we were pretty lit up at the time. And I said, what do you think of these? But let's go find him and make him eat him. So he didn't know it, but there was two enraged drummers like running around looking at, and there was all this thing, drummers, not going to do this, not going to do that. This machine is going to take your place. And then I started getting calls from people to do cymbal overdubs, hi-hat, put a hi-hat on there just to make it feel right. And then Phil Collins comes out with Easy Lover and says, screw drum machines and screw all that stuff, screw that sound. Here I am. Easy Lover.
Yeah.
And Phil Collins was inspirational to me.
Yes.
It was like, the hell with it. So I'm wondering at that point, I'd started using a rack. So when they said I couldn't just roll up with cymbal stands and cymbals and hi-hat, they had to bring everything.
Yeah.
So they bring everything, set up the whole thing in there, and I'd sit in there and I'd just start playing along with whatever.
Yes.
And then they say, well, that sounds pretty good. Let's mic the drums up and put that on there. So in the end, that didn't affect me.
That's crazy that Roger LINN did that though, because that's a whole different thing where sampling was just like it happened and people would be like, I don't know, I'm just doing this, and they're trying to make music from it and you treat it as an instrument, but like going into having a drum, like a no smoking, but with drums, that's
yeah, I got to tell you, people for years have been willing to spend fortunes so that they don't have to pay a musician.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Still here.
Yeah. Still here. It's
not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
No. And I can't even worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
AI, all that stuff. What?
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, even like, I used to sit and talk with Tom about it. And I was like, man, people are paying money to go and see Guy play records. Yeah.
It's a big thing.
Yeah. I mean, great. Good on them. But, it's like, I can do that.
Yeah. You should do that.
Yeah. I like to go see people do stuff that I can't do.
Yeah.
Questlove, I know, has fun doing it.
Yeah.
Probably picks good songs too.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's disc jockeys that are good and bad disc jockeys too, I guess. But it just seems very strange that you would go to watch somebody
stand in front of a wall of
it's
LED
all on
panels.
Yeah, I mean, you might have all these turntables, but it's on that computer. I know. You just hit start on the computer.
No, but this is all show right here. Look at all this, like it's like having like all this outboard gear. And then
I mean, I actually saw a guy once do a solo on some turntables.
Yeah,
and it was great.
Oh,
he was really good. But they ain't all like that.
No, yeah. No, there's people that are incredibly talented as vinyl DJs is that's a hard art to master. But there's people that are great at CDJs and doing all that, but yeah, it's definitely not majority of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's people that are really special at mixing and not just choosing the right song, but how they transition. But that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's really interesting. You can't help but think about the evolution of technology and like everything that you've seen. Right? Like, I mean, you saw metronome come into the situation. You saw tape to digital,
click track.
You saw click track, man.
Well, that was Jeff Porcaro. Listen, I got so offended by that because I've worked hard on my tempo.
Yeah,
I had worked really hard on that, and this guitarist in the Piranhas used to play football 4 times a week, right? So he had legs.
Yeah.
And he would stand next to me and he would tap his foot. And if I started to speed up, he'd kick me. Just a little tap. But if you've ever been kicked by a football player, you see, I know a lot of Americans say, oh, those soccer players, they take a little tap on. I tell you what, you see a goalkeeper take a football and he puts it down, and dead ball takes one step back and he goes bang, and that ball goes 3/4 of the way down Wembley.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? There's power behind those kicks.
A ton of power.
Yeah, it hurts when you get kicked by a football player, soccer player.
No, we're going to call it football. And I'm also going to ask all football players to never kick me. I don't want to experience it. I am scared and intimidated.
Yeah.
I respect your power.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Okay, wait, let's talk about when Clicks came out, because so you become like a very known session drummer, right? Obviously, after Average White Band, you
yeah, but I complained about that. That was a big complaint.
You complained about the metronome.
Yeah, I'd rather sit. I'd like to work and get a track.
Yeah.
And I'd walk in there and do this thing. I just click, click, click. But play it okay. And Arif, I'd complain to Arif, and Arif would say, well, Steve, this is the way the music business is going. And I'm like, I don't care about the music business. I don't care about it. I want to be an artist. I worked hard on my tempo. And he's well, you just got to get used to it, Steve, because that's what's happening, right? And that was it. And all these people would tell me, Steve, this is the way they're recording now. This is the techniques of recording stuff. And I came out here to do a date out here, and I went in there and it click, click, click. Just sat down, played. It was done in 5 minutes out of it. And well, it wasn't 5 minutes. I was working all day on this album. And then that night, Jeff Porcaro was playing at the Baked Potato. So I go over, and I see Jeff, hey, my brother, how are you doing? He said, you going to play tonight? I said, no, I've been working all night. I'm tired all day. He said, so am I. You're playing. So Jeff, he was renowned for the fact that sometimes he would invite somebody to come and play and he would leave. He'd go home, right? So I'm sitting at the bar. Yeah. So Jeff goes to the microphone and says, my friend here, Steve Ferrone, is going to come play a couple of songs. And like, I go over and he like looks up at me and says, he had the shiny glasses, like and grin on his face. And he's like looking up at me. He's like, and I said, if you leave, I'm going to come and find you, So I get up there and I think Greg Matheson or somebody was playing, and I sit in and we played this song, and then they made me play a drum solo, which Jeff never did and I hate doing. And I'm sitting there and I'm playing this drum, and I look over and Jeff's at the bar and he's like dying. He's dying laughing. And I go up to him afterwards and we're sitting there, we're just talking. And he said, what are you working on? I'll work on that thing. He said, a good date? And I said, bloody click track, click, 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 click. And he said, you have a problem playing with the click? I said, no, it's easy. He said, take the money and click. I got it.
Yeah.
I can do a lot of these dates in a day with this click track.
Because it would speed up the whole recording process, having
totally.
It. And you're already the Pocket King, so it must have been so easy to you.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd have to slow down a little bit, see if it was still there.
I don't hear any click. Did you guys turn it off?
Jeff was the Pocket King. He is the great. He's dang him with that click, man.
you guys.
Yeah.
You guys. I just another way where I was, or another example of me being born at the wrong time, because I would love to be seeing the two of you at the Big Potato. Oh, come on. That's so great.
Yeah, we were doing this.
I
was doing this date once at a Capitol, and Keltner was there, and Jeff, right? And there was this little room in between the studios. They had all the cases were in there. And there's me and Jeff and Keltner sitting in there, just sitting there bullshitting. And the door opens and in walks this assistant engineer. And he just looked like this and he said, F***. Left.
It's so great.
Just one of this, we're just boom, yeah.
The Mount Rushmore. Dude. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, Lord knows this, that, and the other. But I don't even know. Music, probably. Maybe some music, some songs, or what we were doing. We were working with them.
How long do you think that was from when Click entered the room and now you have to do these Click sessions, Arif's telling you got to do it, from that point until Jeff told you, take the money? How long was that?
I would say probably around a year, something like that. 9 months to a year. Something. Yeah. I complained long enough.
Yeah. 50 records in.
Young and hard, longer. Done all that complaining and not a dang thing had changed. You know, every once in a while. I mean, it's like today. Every once in a while, you get to go in and play a record. Just everybody's there and you just play, and it's refreshing to do it. But, the other thing to playing with Click, you can do that too. It's fun doing that as well.
You said you worked so hard on your pocket to get your pocket so good. How do you develop something like that besides getting kicked by a football player?
Look, forget about the fills. Forget about your, being a Philly guy, being a clever.
Yeah.
Just play the dang song. Play the song, play the time, and that's it. And of course, I get the young, youthful exuberance, would get all excited and so, and this boot would come out and hit me on the leg, and dang. So I started to work on that. This is this band, the Piranhas, again, and I remember we were playing a gig one day, and it was just outside of Bologna. They had these big clubs in Italy, and you go play these clubs on a weekend. And we were playing in this big, massive club, and I did the whole set, top to bottom, perfect. And I knew it. It was, every song had its pocket. Every song had its pocket, kept its pocket, went all the way through. And Mr. Football Boots next to me, he said, well, you did it. Tio bien fait. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I felt it. I knew it. I knew what it was. And I never had to think about it again.
Yeah, you nailed it forever.
Yeah.
One final question about Average White Band, and then we'll continue down the timeline. But what was your favorite thing about that era?
So much to like.
It was such a highlight.
Yeah, I mean, the parties, the clubs, Studio 54, that stuff.
What was that like?
It was wild. It's completely wild,
For you being Steve Ferrone at the time, what was the Studio 54 scene and all that like for you?
Well,
you got AHMET, you got the
sex and drugs and rock and roll, like it was in the movies. That's what it was. It was just crazy. I mean, it was just nuts. Saturday Night Live just put it right out there. You remember that thing with the donut, with the John Belushi being the guy on the door?
Oh yeah, with all the powder.
Yeah. That was it was amazing, and playing big venues, not stadiums but arenas, and the music was great, having fun making the music, I mean, Soul Searching was exactly that, Benny and Us was a break that we took because we got stuck on doing Warmer Communications. We got halfway through the album and got stuck. So they said, well, do you want to do a record with Benny King? Yeah. You know? And then we go do that. And I'd started doing sessions for Arif, and because I was doing sessions for Arif, other producers were calling me up and asking me to play on sessions. I started to work with Chaka Khan and Nile Rodgers, and all these artists that came through, and started to get taught working with guys like Richard T and Cornell Dupree and John Tropez, Anthony Jackson, Will Lee, Brecker Brothers. I call it the School of Local 802. Yeah. And I know I'm forgetting a load of people because there were so many of them. Yeah. But I loved all those guys. Wow. I remember I went to do a session with Chaka, and George Benson was playing on it, Phil Upchurch, Anthony Jackson, Richard T, and Onnie McIntyre from Average White Band came to meet me. And we finished the date, and Onnie, I said, let's go over to Eamon Duran's. And we went and got in my car. I had a 1964 220 SE convertible Mercedes. Yes, you did. Yeah. And we drove across town to Eamon Duran's bar, which is at the really good Guinness on 3rd Avenue. And as we were driving across town, Onnie said to me, he said, do you realize what you just did? And I said, what's that? He said, those guys you were playing with, you just did that. You were playing with them in the studio. And I realized that I'd become really blasé about that. Yeah. That those guys, if you'd have told me a couple of years before that I would find myself in the studio with these people and they would be considering me a peer, I would have been over the moon. The stomach would have been churning. I would have been so full of excitement. And I decided then never to take that for granted again. Amazing. Yeah. It was simply that. Yeah. Bringing it to your attention, the flip-on perspective. Yeah. And that lasted. I would have been over the moon. I would have been beside myself, calling everybody. Guess who I'm playing with? Yeah. You get so used to things. Yeah. It's easy to take the amazing life you have for granted. Yeah. I got a funny story. I work with Jason Sheff. We have a band called Generation Radio with Jay DeMarcus of Rascal Flatts, and one of the guys in the band. Before, like, getting ready for the first show, and I'm standing with Jason Sheff, like this guy Tom Yankton, comes walking up and he says, "Listen, guys," he said, "I got to tell you, it's an honor and a privilege to be sharing the stage with you." And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, it is." And Jason just fell down on the floor laughing. You're damn right. Yeah, that sounds about right. When did you start become widely known as this guy with this perfect pocket? Was this doing sessions outside of Average White Band with Arif? Was it like right after that, or was it like a few years in when the sessions were just really rolling for you? That was when I started. When I was like, Arif asking me if I'd do a session for him. I think it was Bette Midler was the first one that I did with him. First one out of Average White Band. Yeah, and then Chaka Khan into that, and then all these other sessions started to come in. I mean, I never really. I mean, all I knew was that what they used to tell me, the French used to shout at me, tempo. And then I get that kick. Tempo. Ow. Tempo. And so that's I guess that's pocket, right? Yeah. Tempo. Feel it. Yeah. And was it always just word of mouth for you getting your gigs? Yeah. And just people reaching out to you? Yeah.
Never at any point was there representation with you. It was always just, just
no.
you doing it.
So that's what people ask.
Yeah.
But where it would sort of, because I was working a lot. You know, I mean, I was working a lot. I mean, still do.
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, you know, I do all right in the year. I'm happy with enough.
Yeah.
Right? I said, if you want to make anything over that, let's say if you make half as much again, then I'll give you a percentage of the whole thing, because I know you'll be going in the right direction. But to just give you a percentage of what I got now, why would I do that?
Yeah. You got to play offense, not just defense.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was confusing.
Okay. I would love to talk about, because you said, you know, the New York scene, right? So 1985, 86, you're on the SNL gig.
Yeah.
Season 11 of SNL.
Yeah.
What was that like? That must have been so much fun.
That was so much fun.
Oh, man.
It was great. I mean, I sort of started this thing with them that because I found out about overtime, you know. And so I was sitting there and I would look at my watch. Here we go, tick 1 minute over the overtime.
They were like, he's the 802 king.
That's right. Yeah. And it was great. I mean, Lorne Michaels throws the best parties. You know, he just does. He's a great guy. And they invited me to the 40th. I never got invited to the 50th. I don't know. Maybe I slipped through the radar that time.
Come on, Questlove.
Yeah, but they got me into the 40th. I bought a tuxedo and I went on my own to New York, hung out. It was a great party. You know,
wow,
it really was. And all those the after parties were fantastic.
Every Saturday?
Yeah, every Saturday after the show.
What was the after parties like back then? 85 SNL.
Well, he did a different restaurant, a different place every weekend.
Fun.
So it was it was like, where is it tonight? Oh, it's there. So then you go there.
And that cast was what? Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, and John Lovitz.
John Lovitz
was in there.
And would the band and the actors and everyone all be together? You guys are all a family.
Yeah, it was. You know, there's a I guess I call it SNL alumni.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like if you've been involved with it, then you can walk up. If you see somebody from there, you can just walk up and say, "Hey,
yeah.
I did. I was the house band drummer." Yeah.
You're all in that tiny studio on the 8th floor, right?
Yeah.
Anything you learned from that, like the high pressure situation of SNL?
I could never figure out how they did that. It was nerve-wracking. It must have been nerve-wracking for them, because you do the show, the run through, and they do all the skits, and then they would edit. They'd edit down the thing, and then out it went live. You know?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Was that click track at the time or no click?
No click.
You still had it.
What you heard was what you got. That was it.
Was there count off systems?
No, just whoever would count it.
Just the MD would just like cue.
Yeah.
Or
I'd have to play a fill and then start. They just point at me and start playing something.
You and I both did. I did the Seth Meyers gig for a week too.
Oh, right, yeah.
I filled in on that. I know you did it as well.
Yeah, and I got shorted a day because they shut it down with COVID.
You were the last one into COVID.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So did you get stuck in New York?
Did I get what?
Did you get stuck in New York?
No. I mean, no. What happened was, I think it was Monday through Thursday, right? They were,
and then they do 2 on Thursday,
right?
Yeah.
So we did Monday, and there was the whispers had started about there's this virus, and then Tuesday it got worse, and then Wednesday I got a call from them, and they said, "We're going to do a show without an audience tomorrow. We're going to do the shows without it's going to be just the people." And it was funny because at that point Seth had become aware that I'd been on Saturday Night Live, and he said, "We want to talk to you about that in the show."
Nice.
So I thought, "Oh, great! I'm going to get some FaceTime on this thing."
Yeah.
And then they called up and they said, "Show's off, show's closed," because somebody who was related to somebody, or like who worked on the show, got it.
Oh yeah.
So they said we can't. We're shutting down everything.
Yeah, everything was so scary then. Yeah.
And the next morning, I walked across Times Square, 7 o'clock in the morning, and there were 3 people in Times Square, and I was one of them. And I said, you know, this is not looking good. I got on the plane and flew back to Los Angeles, and called the guy that does my studio. I got a studio in my house.
Yeah.
And I said, what would it take to get my studio so that somebody could engineer it remotely?
Mm.
And he said, well, I'd have to upgrade your studio, about $10,000. And I said, do it.
Yeah.
And so he did it. He upgraded everything. And Eric Thorngren was a really good friend of mine for years and years, an engineer. He lived down in Long Beach. And he came and set everything, and he gave me a quick lesson on what I needed to turn if you needed more of this or less of that, how to turn the stuff on.
Yep.
I'm not a tech head at all whatsoever. And then he went down to his place in Long Beach, and we hooked up on Zoom so we could see each other, and got the sounds up, and we worked all through lockdown. We did one session.
That was a good investment.
Yeah, one session. He was in Long Beach. I was in Lake Balboa. The artist was in London, and the producer was in Italy. And they could all listen to the sound that was coming out of the studio. It wasn't over the, it wasn't over the Zoom thing. It was we had this thing that they could key in and listen on their systems where they were, and actually hear what the sound. They could say, "Oh, use a deeper snare drum or a tighter snare." They could do that, but the only problem was the latency in the communication. Mm. They couldn't just say something. They had to shut all their stuff down because everything was like all over the place.
When I think about doing Seth Meyers, there was, there's count offs, there's click tracks, they're queuing you out. You got to just watch the guests sit and know when to stop playing, like a bar ahead or whatever. But
hey, you get to write the songs too. That's what I liked about Seth Meyers. It's a great thing.
That was fun every day.
Yeah,
that was so fun.
Let's go and write something. It was play a groove. Okay.
It was such a cool thing to have the drummers changing every week when Fred couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Big shouts to Eric Lederman and the HE band and Seth and everyone. Everyone was so cool in that show too.
Yeah.
But SNL must have been so much harder with no anything, just hand cues.
Yeah.
Like producer to MD to band to be in, out.
It's great. It's really cool.
You joined Duran Duran in 1986, correct? Mm-hmm. For Notorious.
Yes.
Did you get brought in as a session player originally? Or how did you get in Duran Duran?
Yeah, Artie Smith, my drum tech, had been working with John Taylor,
mm-hmm.
and John had been talking about that they were going to get the band back together, but Roger Taylor had decided that he was going to become a gentleman farmer, and they needed a drummer. And Artie Smith said, "Well, I'm going to try Steve Ferrone." So they called me up and they said, "Would you be interested in doing that?" Yeah. Love to. That would be fun. And so I went off to London and met Nick. And Nick, John, and I started just playing stuff, jamming things, and came up with the basis of all those songs. And then, but it still didn't sound like Duran Duran.
Mm-hmm.
And then about a week into it, Simon showed up, and he had to listen to it, and he took it away for a couple of days, and he came back and he put in a couple of changes to make it a bit more song instead of just groove.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat down playing it, and he opened his mouth, and there was Duran Duran. It was complete.
Yeah.
With that sound, with his voice.
His voice, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a completely different gig than what you were used to.
Well, yeah, I mean, and as well, I mean, I have to say, I don't think that anyone of my generation at one point I mean, I was 35. I mean, older than them, you know.
Yeah.
They were in their 20s.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody took them seriously as a band. I thought, you know, they came out of school, they became the biggest band, they did all this video stuff, it was fashion and models, and I don't think anybody thought that would last at all. But pleasantly surprised that they're still current, they're still making music, still making new music.
Yeah.
And good music.
Still selling a ton of tickets.
Yeah, it's still out there working. So I'm pleasantly surprised and glad to say I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm also glad that I mean, people talk to me about that. You know, I mean, people that you know that were teenagers back then and is middle aged now and got kids and everything. I mean, some of them are in touch with some of them still, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a special part for them, and for a lot of musicians, they thought that Notorious was really cool. And then there was Ordinary World.
Yeah, of course.
And that was, I mean, I was rehearsing to go out on the road with George and that I came across that. I mean, here you go.
Yeah.
This is one of these things that happen.
Yeah. With George Harrison.
Yeah.
You were going to rehearse with George for the tour and the
tour.
Yeah.
I've been working with Eric. We've done 24 nights. You know, I don't know if we'd done 24 nights at that point. We may have done it by that point. I think we were coming up on Unplugged. It was around that time.
Eric Clapton, of course.
And when I used to stay, when we used to play the Albert, because we were there for such a long 3-4 weeks, I would rent an apartment on Sloane Street instead of staying in a hotel. And I would come out and take the bus up to the Albert Hall with the fans.
This is too fun.
What you doing tonight, Steve? Oh, I don't know. We're going to play something. It should be fun. Enjoy yourselves. That was it. And they get off the bus with them, and they'd all walk in the front door, and I go around the stage door.
Oh, you've had so many incredible life experiences in so many different cities on so many different gigs. You've lived 100 lives.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, we were always very nice. So anyway, I because I was doing that, we were rehearsing out at Bray, where we used to rehearse with Eric out near Windsor Castle. And I said, I got a rental car and drove to Sloane Street, put it in the garage, put my stuff in the apartment. I said, I'm going to take a drive down the King's Road. Just go have a look down the King's Road, see what's going on down there. And I got in the car, drove down to King's Road, and I'm cruising along the King's Road. I mean, it's narrow, right? I mean, you got like one lane, buses. There was a lot of traffic. There was a lot of people on the sidewalk, and I'm driving, crawling along. And I look and I see this guy, and it looks like Warren Cucurullo, right? But the Warren Cucurullo that I know is a skinny, missing persons Warren Cucurullo.
Yeah. Skinny musician.
Yeah. This guy has got muscles, right? He's wearing a white beater and he's buffed. And I thought, well, it kind of looks like Warren, but what's with the muscles, right?
And the muscle suit.
And as I'm going past, I look and it's Warren. So I put down the passenger side. Went, hey, Warren, Steve, great. Can you do a session for me? Right? And I'm like,
can you do? That's how in demand you are.
Yeah. I said, I don't know. I'm here with George, doing George Harrison. This is why I'm still crawling along behind this button. He's like, listen, give me a call. And he puts his hand in his bag and he pulls out this cassette and he throws the cassette through the window of the car. And I drive off with this cassette. Okay. Put it in the cassette player in the car. It's the demo for Ordinary World. Get back to the hotel and I call him up and I say, you don't need me on this. You could release this. It's a hit record, you know. And he said, well, we really want you to play on it, you know. I said, okay, well, I see what's going on with the rehearsals. And the next day was the first day of rehearsals, and George rehearsed like Tom. You start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 o'clock you're done.
Nice. Yeah. Love that.
So I did that, and I called him the next day, and I went over to his studio and put on the drums on Ordinary World. Yeah.
So the demo was really kind of the record just without your drums?
Yeah, it just had a drum machine on it.
Yeah, so it was the same track, really.
Well, it's the same. It was the same track. But yeah.
And you just layered live drums on top of the drum machine.
It was kind of
give it that big sound.
Drum. Yeah. It had to.
So you had already finished playing with them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, finished. I mean, I'd stopped touring with them, and started, because that first year was Duran and Eric, and I was away. I was at home for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I just really needed to spend more time at home.
Yeah.
So you know, I kind of was really enjoying playing with Eric. So I just kind of flipped over to that, and they got their stuff together. But I did record with them on Big Thing, and there was another album. I did 2 albums with them.
Nice.
Yeah. So we were good. We've always been good. Yeah.
So let's jump into Eric Clapton. So you started playing with Eric in 1986?
Something like that. Yeah.
How'd you meet Eric?
Bob Geldof's knighthood party.
What?
Well, I was in London, right? And with Duran. And I don't know whether we were recording or what we were doing. We were doing something. Maybe we were already on tour at that point. And Geldof had been awarded a knighthood.
Yeah.
For his work, charity work. With there was a big party for him at the Hard Rock Cafe. Everyone was there. I roll up with Duran, and all there hanging out. Phil Collins again comes up. He said, "Hey, Steve." He said, "Did you ever meet Eric Clapton?" I said, "Well, I met him once. He came to an Average White Band show, but just to say hi. I don't really know him." He said, "Well, come over. Come on, just come over, sit down with us." So I said, okay. So I go over and I sit down with Eric Clapton and Phil Collins.
Wow.
We sit there and we just chit chat, small talk, and I didn't know it, but Phil had done that first record with Eric, with the Nathan and Greg.
Yeah.
And then Phil had to go back and be Phil Collins.
With Nathan East and Greg Fillinganes.
Yeah. Phil had to go back and be Phil Collins. And Eric needed a drummer, and Phil, that was the introduction. So then a few weeks later, I get this phone call. Would you like to go play with Eric? He's doing a couple of club gigs, and I didn't know from anything from Eric at that point. He hadn't done anything in ages, and I said, absolutely, I'd love to, and so we went and played a little club in Boston and a club in New York, and that was it.
Wow.
And I'd done a deal, for a lot of money, a little bit of money, and he sent me a check for a big check.
Nice.
And I called him up and said, I think you made a mistake. That's not what the deal was. And they gave me too much money. And they said, Mr. Clapton wants you to have that money. What are you doing next month?
Oh.
Yeah.
And that was just the beginning of the relationship.
And that was the beginning of it, yeah. All the recording, 24 nights, Unplugged.
That's incredible.
It was a pretty good run.
And the ensemble at the time when you joined in was with Fillinganes and Nathan East.
Greg Fillinganes and Nathan East. And then he expanded the band. Ray Cooper. Actually, Mark Knopfler was playing
Really?
Yeah, Knopfler was the second guitar.
What?
So we had Knopfler, and I think the Nebworth was with it had Elton John as well. So Greg Fillinganes, Nathan East, Ray Cooper, Tessa Niles and Katie Kissoon, Mark Knopfler, and Alan Clark. Oh no, it wasn't. I don't think it was Alan Clark, not because Fillinganes had to go off and do something. No, wow. Michael Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that gig.
Then Alan Clark. I just recorded with Alan Clark in London.
Did you?
Yeah, last week. That's what I was doing.
Amazing.
In the Real World Studios. That's fantastic.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
How's that?
Great.
I've never been there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's quite a spot that he's built for himself.
Seems incredible. The pictures look wild.
I got enormous studio envy. It's like, I wonder if I could build a small one like that in the back of my garage.
How much water will I need?
Yeah. Swans and everything are coming swimming up to the front.
Wow, that's so cool. And there's like open windows, right, in that studio?
Great big windows.
The Unplugged album. So you guys go and make the Unplugged Eric Clapton album, ends up winning Album of the Year at the Grammys and a bunch of other Grammys that year.
6.
It's amazing. What was it like when you guys went to go kind of put those stripped down acoustic arrangements together? And did you know when you were doing that you were like, oh, this is really special?
We were in trouble. I was in trouble. Eric said, we're doing this acoustic thing, right? I said, all right. So, they got another drum kit together for that, a smaller drum kit, and sent it over there. And then when I roll up, Chuck LaBelle's playing a pedal pump organ. Eric's playing gut string guitar. Now that's not what I thought Unplugged was going to be. I thought it was going to be an acoustic guitar with a pickup in it and plugged in somewhere.
Yeah.
No. And Nathan had an acoustic bass, but he had a bit of an amp because he needed it, I guess. And so it was even acoustic was too much.
Wow.
It was too much noise. And I had to rethink everything. We had 2 days rehearsal. That was it. And so I said to my tech, I said, John Collins, Collie, I said, Collie, go to the music store, bring it back, everything. Right? Everything. So
I don't have time to try things out. Bring the whole store.
So he came back with shakers and different brushes, and that's when those split sticks, hot rods had started. That was just brand new. These
perfect timing they were made for that gig.
Exactly. And triangles and a washboard. We had all that stuff, and a woodblock, and I started to play it like that at the rehearsal, and then we went and we cut it. Yeah, I actually played some of those songs again with Will Johns, who's Eric's nephew.
Oh wow!
And we went out, and Nathan and I went out and played. They put a little Unplugged section. Mm-hmm. He plays a lot of stuff from 24 Nights and asked us to play it.
So you only have 2 days to put together Unplugged.
Yeah.
It's not working at first. You have to bring
first day disaster. Second day, we're getting there.
Okay, we're getting there.
Yeah.
And then when did it click? Did it not click until you're on the studio stage?
As a matter of fact, Rolling and Tumbling, we were on a break because they were going to change the tape because back then, Pro Tools. This is how old I am. There was no Pro Tools tape. So they had to change the tape, right? So I'm sitting there and I just play a little bit of something a bit harder than what we'd been playing before. And Eric starts ding, 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 no, what's it? Rolling and Tumbling. I forget how it goes. The guitarist. So Nathan falls in, and that's why on the album it fades in
Whoa.
Because Russ Titleman was in there, and he heard that start, and he said, "Get that tape on there quick!" And the guy put the tape on as quick as he can. So hit record. He didn't catch the beginning of it, so that it fades in to Rolling and Tumbling, and at the end of it, you'll hear Eric say, "Did you get that?"
Oh,
yeah.
Was Russ producing that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's nerve-wracking also. Wow, to be like, okay, we're cutting this. I don't really know if I have the sounds together.
Yeah. We had to find it quick because it was for day one disaster for me. It was how am I gonna play this stuff?
So when you were cutting it, obviously there was magic being made. You could feel that. You knew, you're like, okay, we got it just in the nick of time. Like, did you feel it, or were you still kind of like, I hope this is coming across?
I think I don't think I even thought about it really.
Yeah.
I Tessa Niles is like one of the most health conscious people that I know, right? She came up to me and took a cigarette out of my cigarette pack and started puffing on a cigarette. And
everyone was stressed.
Yeah, I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I feel so exposed out there with this."
Wow.
Yeah. So it took a level. I think we all had to concentrate on what we were doing because it was so alien.
Yeah.
To us, to do that, to play at that sort of level, and we had to use different. I got to tell you that in the video, the first video that came out, it wasn't the washboard one, but they had the triangle. I was playing the triangle or something. And for years, did you ever work Radio Registry in New York?
Mm-mm.
The Radio Registry was musicians answering service.
Okay.
So you get booked through Radio Registry. They call you up and they say, "You got a session tomorrow at this studio, 3 to 5 with a possible 20. They give you all this studio talk jargon, or a whole afternoon, double scale sessions. They tell you. And so they would call me and they booked me for something. They got a session with so and so at this place. They said, "Don't bring the triangle."
You've already used that on the gig.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it took so much stick because of that triangle.
Did Eric enjoy Unplugged?
Yeah. Until okay, after we did that, we went to Australia to play, and the Australian audiences were a lot more subdued than, and Eric was complaining that the audiences are too quiet. And so I remember when we were backstage before, with Australian, MC went out and he said, "Eric thinks that Australia is too quiet. You got to make more noise." Eric's upset. But then we came back here, and by the time we came back here to play back here, Tears in Heaven had gone berserk.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Off the charts hit. And so I remember we were playing in Miami in this where they played basketball or something, a big basketball arena. Eric sits down with his gut string guitar and goes, "Dug-a-dong," and the whole place goes, "Whoa!" And then you can't hear anything at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So then he was like, "The audience is too loud."
It's too loud for me. This is my soft song, please. Now you're too loud for the soft song.
Like,
turn up for Layla. Come on.
All I can say is like, man, I wish I could write a song with either people were so quiet listening to it or too loud because they loved it. I wish that I had one song like that.
What a special time to spend so much time with Eric and play so much with him.
Yeah, that was. I was the only guy that was in town when Connor passed away.
Oh wow!
And that was a pretty intense time.
Yeah.
I think I'd seen him like a couple of days before, and then I got a phone call from this Russ Titleman's assistant, Alexander Sarasby, And she called me up and she said, I just heard something. And she was in tears. And she said, I just heard something horrible. And you got to go check on Eric. And I thought, what the hell's happened? And I called him up and I'm like, are you okay? I did something gone. And he was like, awful. And I said, look, you don't go over it. I'm on my way up. And I got up to the hotel and knocked on his door and he opened the door and he'd aged. That had aged him. In 2 days, it was like, this guy I was looking at was just beaten. I don't know how he came to that without having a drink. Well, I do know how he came to it without having a drink. But it was for me. It was watching it. It was one of the most painful. I can't imagine the pain that he and Loredana went through.
What do you do in that moment as a friend?
Just be there. That's all. What words are you going to say?
Yes.
Just go put your arm around him. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
He asked me. I actually, I got to say "Suffer Little Children" at Connor's funeral. But boy, it was a rough one.
Yeah. And then to have the song, honoring Connor, but then having it be such a big hit too. And
I think he had that song, and then it sort of became about Connor.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think the song was there, and then it became. It became. I think he already started working on it.
Oh wow!
And then that song became about Connor.
He had lyrically, he had that and everything.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I think I had a cassette. They give me just the chords, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had Nathan East was on the show as well.
Yeah,
good old Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard
my mate Nate.
You guys both have that awesome smile, man. Yeah. I'm sure you hear that all the time when you're together.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player. Yeah, he's just a phenomenal player, phenomenal guy.
He really is. He really is. We got to talk about George Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
So how'd you get the gig with George Harrison?
Well, George used to come and visit Eric in the at the Albert Hall. Every time we were there, he'd come and pop in, hang out with the band. We all used the same dressing room. It was, Eric was in the same dressing room as the band. He liked that. And George would come in and talk to everybody. And he showed up and he said, I've been offered this gig in Japan, And Eric said, well, go do it, He said, yeah, but I don't have a band, And Eric said, well, after a bit of time, he said, why don't you take my guys? I'm taking some time off. Why don't you just take them? He said, George, he looked at me, he said, you come to Japan with me? I was like, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Of course.
That's amazing. And he ended up taking Clapton too.
Yeah.
He didn't just say take my band, take me and my band.
Eric, and he wasn't very happy about that. He wasn't very happy on that. He didn't really want to be there for that, Eric.
Really?
Yeah. I think he needed some time off and he didn't get it.
Oh yeah.
And he just didn't want to be there.
Man, so what was it like playing with George Harrison?
Great. I mean, what was really great was that we were when we were rehearsing out at Bray again. We were out there, and it's like a sound stage. Everything was set up like sound stage. And we were sitting there, and Ray Cooper used to have a drum kit. We do double drums on a couple of songs, and Ringo shows up, and he's sort of standing in the middle of the room, watching the band. And I said, go get on the drums.
The second gig?
Yeah, come and play. Right? So he come walking around, get up there, and And all of a sudden, that thing happened where there were two guys that had been in a band together. And it was like, oh, so that's what it felt like. You know? Yeah, it's incredible.
Did you keep drumming in that moment?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just savoring how it felt.
Yeah.
It's funny. Same sort of stuff happens when any two of the Heartbreakers get together and start playing. That thing happens, you know.
Yeah.
You got used to each other playing. It's yeah.
So, what did it feel like to be playing Taxman and something?
Oh, it's great
because you're growing up. You're growing up listening to the Beatles. You're in England, like.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with them. Yeah, and it was. I was just at George's house just last week. I passed, but when it's on the way down to Bath, so I called up Olivia. And I said, "Hey, I'm going my way down to Bath," and she said, "Oh, come over and have a cup of tea on the way down." So,
oh wow!
So go. It's a beautiful, beautiful home, and most wonderful in the most wonderful grounds. For all intents and purposes, it's a castle.
Yeah. Wow.
But it feels. I always said that I was talking. Julia and I went and stayed there with Olivia once, and I said it just feels. It always felt like very homey. It didn't feel like you're in a castle. It just feels nice. It feels, and she said, "That's George. That's George put that in it."
Wow.
Yeah.
What was his energy like? Like, what was it like to spend time with him?
He was great. He was funny. He really liked to have the band around him. He would he'd always get like this presidential suite with like a huge, massive like conference table in it. And he'd call up everybody and say, "Want some Chinese food?" And you get up there and the conference table was just full of Chinese food. And we'd all just sit around eating, and we went to Hiroshima and went and walked around Peace Park there in Hiroshima. George put his head up into the peace bell and then tried to get somebody to ring it, and everyone was like, "I don't think so, George.
That's not the best idea."
Could be the end of the tour. Deaf singer. He was a really great guy. And when we got back from there, they had all the recording. You know, they'd recorded the concert. And George, I was at home in New York and I got this phone call from George, and he said, "Steve," he said, "I've really screwed up." And I said, "What's happened?" He said, I've erased some drums, man." I said, "What happened?" He said, I pressed the wrong button. I erased some drums. Can you go in the airport, get on a Concorde and come over? So I said, "Yeah, okay." So packed up my stuff, went to the airport, got on the Concorde. 3 hours later, I'm in London.
Wow.
Get off the plane. There's a big Austin Princess limousine sitting there waiting for me. Get in there, go out to Friar Park, arrive at Friar Park. George meets me at the door. "Oh, man, great. Thanks for coming. Come in and have a cup of tea." So go and have a cup of tea, talk a bit. And he says, "So let's go up and fix his drums, you know?" And we go up to the studio. He says, "Okay, listen." He presses the play button. And there was this song, which is one of those, right? I said, "George, it's a bass drum." "It's a bass drum." I said, "Yeah, it's a bass drum there. I got it mic'd up for you."
It's right there. I got it mic'd up ready.
I said,
it's ready to go.
You could have done that. You could do that. "Yeah, I want you to do it."
Oh, he wanted you there, man.
I said, "You could fly another bass drum from somewhere and you could put it right in there. You do it. Boom. That's it. Right, let's go. Get something to eat."
Oh. How does it feel to be so desired by people like George Harrison?
You know, it's just funny. It was hilarious. I mean, I talked to Olivia about it. She said, "I think he wanted you to come. I think he wanted your company.
Yeah, he wanted to hang.
Yeah, he wanted to hang.
You're the guy everyone wants to hang with, man. People want your energy around. I'm already thinking of how we extend this interview so you don't leave.
Yeah."
You want to go to the Dodger game with us?
We're going to the boring football.
Oh, yeah, football. I'll kick you in the shin to keep you awake. And be like,
is that he was really he had humility. He was spiritual guy. He was all around nice guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
Seems like one of the most special humans ever.
He was, yeah. I mean, and he would have fun. He would enjoy it. I mean,
yeah.
We went to I think we went to see Prince. I think it was at the Wembley Arena. He's like, "Come on, let's go see Prince." And he got this like big limousine, because shows up and get in the back, and we're going there. So, "You got any tickets?" He's like, "I ain't got any tickets." He said, so we get there and we pull. He says to the driver, "Go around the back." So we go around the back, and there's like a line of bouncers who are sort of standing there, and so they see this car, and already the question mark forms above their head. It's like, who is this? Right? Yeah. And the car is driving very, very slowly towards them. So they sort of. They thought, well, okay, he's not trying to ram us out the way. So let's get out the way. And the driver had his window down, and they said, you do have passes, right? And George put down the back window and he said, "We don't need them." And they were like, oh, on the radio, right? George Harrison. Right. and we went in. George put out the window and he said, "Yeah, sometimes it's good to play that Beatle card."
He's so aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he knew about it, but
he's clowning around on it.
It was just fun.
Sometimes it's good to play that Beatle card.
How much fun could it be to be a Beatle? It must have been enormous fun for them.
Well, I love that he was still having fun with the decades
out. Well, Ringo's still out there doing that. He had so much fun that he's still there. It's not like he has to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Ringo's just having fun.
Yeah.
McCartney's going back out next week or in a couple weeks.
Yeah, they love it.
Did you get to spend any time with McCartney?
Not really. I went once when Hamish was playing with him. I went down to Kent, to his place in Kent, and I met him down there. He showed me around, showed me his basses, and he's a great guy.
Super lovely guy. Yeah, I got to hang with him a few times.
Yeah.
Never got to meet John Lennon, I'm assuming.
No, I mean,
that was too
I lived right down the street from him when he got shot.
Wow.
I live 72nd and Columbus. It's a block away from Central Park. Yeah.
That's great.
It was right before my son was born. So my wife went into labor and we had to navigate the throngs of people that were standing outside. I was like, "Get out of the way."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, so many special people, some of the most special musical humans on this planet ever. You have been able to be embraced by them and loved by them and share space and create with them.
Go play with them. It's been wonderful.
What a life. Well, of course, we got to talk about Tom. So, Tom Petty, you have a long, wonderful career with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, 25 years together. Yeah. Amazing. So, it starts with Wildflowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, Tom Petty goes to make Wildflowers with Rick Rubin. Mm-hmm. Do you get a call as a session player to come in? Who does that come from? Had you already met Tom, or was that a Rick call? Like, how did this all come?
It took me years to find out what happened.
Really?
So what happened was Mike Campbell. We'd done an extra gig after the Japan tour. We came back, and George said, "We're going to do an extra gig at the Royal Albert Hall." I said, Eric's not going to do it, and we need another bass player because Nathan's off with Phil Collins. So I said, Will Lee, obvious choice. He knows all the Beatles stuff backwards and forwards, and would love to do it. So Will came and did it, and that's what he was going to play guitar, and he said Mike Campbell, and I said who? He said Mike Campbell. I had no idea who Mike Campbell was.
Wow.
So he plays with Tom Petty, and I've heard about them.
Yeah.
And Mike showed up, and I mean, I talk about it in the show. When I introduced Mike, I usually tell the story how we met them. You know, he has such a great ear for being able to fit in somewhere. You know, he just has this, he can find a tone that works. It doesn't walk on anybody else's stuff, but it just makes a really nice bass, right? And if you point at Mike Campbell and tell him to take a solo, he steps up and takes that solo. It doesn't need another one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the solo on Running Down a Dream. It's one take. He just said, let me do that solo. And in the mood to do it, and he just sat down and played it, and then we'll put the guitar and walked out, and that was it.
So perfect.
And that's the way he plays, you know. So I was Will. Mike Campbell, you know. That's what I started calling him, Mike Campbell. Then Mike, we kind of hit it off there, and so when he came back and they were putting Wildflowers together, apparently Stan didn't like the music or something. There'd been some friction in the band.
Yeah.
And I said, I had no idea, didn't know anything about that. And I get this phone call from Radio Registry again. They said, can you go out to New York next week and out to Los Angeles next week and do a session? I said, yeah, sure. Who's for? They said, we can't tell you. It's top secret. Top secret. Double scale, triple scale. It's the money gig. Yeah. So I get ticket, fly out, and they put me in the Sportsman's Lodge Hotel, which is still not telling me anything. It's not Four Seasons or anything. Eric was in the Four Seasons, or Ritz-Carlton or something. And they tell me to go out to this studio, Sound City. So I wander out there, and I get there, and Kenny Arnoff's drum kit is coming out as mine's going in, which is still not unusual because sometimes I get hired to go and play on somebody's album, and they hire me to play on 2 or 3 tracks, and then somebody else does it. They sort of spread it around, different people for different tracks.
Sure.
So it's still nothing unusual. And I walk into the studio, and I go into the control room, and there's Mike and Tom. And Mike remembers it differently. Mike says that the first song that we played was You Wreck Me. But it wasn't. It was You Don't Know How It Feels.
Really?
Yeah.
First song.
So
is this like an audition? Or like, or is it? Are you cutting the record?
This is the thing. People say that I came out there to audition. Maybe they were auditioning me. I came out to work.
Yeah. You thought it was a session.
It was a session for me. So we after a bit of thing, Tom gets up, pulls out a guitar. This is the song. My old man was born to rock. Okay, so we learn that song. We sit down, start playing it, and I come up with and we do a take, and then Rick comes in and he says, we got all these microphones around in the room. I don't like the sound of the cymbals, the crash cymbals, too loud. He said, what can we do about that? And I said, well, I won't play them, and I'll overdub them after. He said, okay, let's do that. So then we sat down and played the song, and we go in and have a listen to it. And I'm standing by the glass to the studio. The desk is here, and Tom's in front of the desk with Mike and Jim Scott, the engineer, and Rick. And they listen to the track, and they listen to it, and Tom turns to Mike and he says, "What a difference a drummer makes, huh?" Right? And I'm standing going, "Well, what does that mean?" What does that mean? That I can go home now, or it could have been anything.
Is it a good difference or that?
And Tom looked at me and he said, "Oh, don't worry, you won."
Wow.
And then we recorded the rest of the day. Just did more and more takes of "You Don't Know How It Feels" and started work on Wildflowers. But here's the thing: when the album came out, I mean, we did that. We worked for about a week. And then the following year, I went back and to do the second half of Wildflowers.
Oh, wow.
We did in 2 halves.
Over a year apart.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was October of 92. And then I went back. I think it was, I would say May or June of the next, because I got sober. I got sober on April the 30th. So it would probably be like June, either June or July. I got called to come back out and do the second half of the album. And we went back out and cut the rest of it. When the album came out, I got a phone call from a friend of mine, Dave Santos, he lives in Nashville. He said, "Is that you playing on the new Tom Petty single?" And I said, "Well, I did the album." I said, "What song? What's the single?" I didn't even know what the single was. Right? He said, "You Don't Know How It Feels." I said, "Yeah, I did that." He said, "It's driving me crazy. There's no crash cymbals on it."
Yeah, and the sound is huge. That crack of that snare. I mean, of course, the cymbals must have been too harsh if they were with the same overheads as that, whatever was cranking on that snare.
Oh, man.
So you walked in and so you saw Tom and Mike first, but Rick Rubin was there and all the Heartbreakers were there?
No.
Oh, okay. And it was just them?
It was Tom and Mike, and Tom played bass and Mike played guitar.
Got it.
And Tom was singing.
So you guys were cutting it live?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next day, Jerry Sheff, Jason Sheff's father, who used to play with Elvis, showed up to play the bass.
Wow.
And he played for a bit. And then someone else showed up. I forget who it was now. Another bass player showed up. And then Howie showed up. Howie Epstein. And then Benmont showed up. So there it was.
Yeah.
It was the Heartbreakers.
Wow.
Minus Stan.
When you went and did that, so you ended up cutting You Don't Know How It Feels as the first record, which ends up being, the song off that album, and Wildflowers. But did either one of them help guide your approach more? Or was it all you? In terms of like, You Don't Know How It Feels, these records, like, is it Rick Rubin, is it Tom, or is it just like, what is Rick's role in the Tom environment?
They were a little bit leery of me because of my track record of what I played before, but they didn't really know me, you know, and they felt that sometimes the stuff I was playing was just too hip. To keep it simple, right? Some of it stayed, you know. So we were still learning each other, but I really liked the way that they worked on an album. Yeah, I liked the way that they worked on a song. I liked the songs, and I was working. It was like I think 95. That was the first tour that I did with them, with the Wildflowers tour, Before that, I've been working on the road with Brian Ferry. He's a great guy, but he has a strange way of working. He has these guys that are advisors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he had them. I don't know if he still got them. And he'd come off the stage and he would feel something was wrong with the song, and he'd say, "What was wrong with that song?" And these guys would say, "Oh, it's too fast, it's too slow, it's too low. Well, go tell Steve." Right? And these guys would come up and you had no idea about anything, and start, talking to me about this song is this or this song is that, and I'm like, "Hey, I didn't start it. Somebody else, love is a drug. Bass player starts it. I just join in, right? And it feels all right to me, right?" And so there was. I didn't really. I much preferred that if Brian had come and we'd have worked on it.
Yeah.
As a instead of having these guys show up, come and work with us.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. So they'd asked me to go out another year, and I didn't really want to do it. And my girlfriend had just said, "Well, what are you going to do next year?" And I said, "Well, I'll go back to the studio. I'll do some stuff. I'll just do studio work, something to show up. I'll do, I'll work." And the next day, she called me. She said, "Tom just called you. Wants you to call him." I was in Europe, and so I called up Tom, and he's like, "Well, what are you doing next year?" I said, "Well, nothing." He said, "Well, you want to come out on the road and play with us?" And my first thought at that point was, "Well, wait a minute. The Heartbreakers, Stan Lynch as drummer, Heartbreakers."
Yeah.
I didn't even know Stan. Still don't know him, really.
Right.
I only met him once. I said, "Well, look, I've been in bands, like dysfunctional families." Right?
Absolutely.
I said, "Well, what's going on with Stan here?" And I said, "Have you spoken to him about it?" He said, "Well," I said, "No, we're just not getting on." I said, "Well, I tell you what, I'm really honored that you asked me to do this. I'd love to do the gig, but I've been in bands, right? Why don't you talk to Stan and see if things work out? I understand it, right? If they don't work out, and call me, and we can talk about that." And next day he called me back and he said, "You're working next year." That was it. And that was the start of 25 years. I didn't realize that just walking in that studio was the start of 25 years.
And Wildflowers was completely done. You had already cut both the year later version or whatever.
There's one track I don't play on, is Ringo plays on it.
Oh, that's a good other guy. And you and Tom clearly vibed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like from the start in those sessions and everything. Yeah. That was your first time meeting him, was when you came in to do that session?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We had a great,
yeah.
It was all like get down to work and get these songs done, but the approach was great. I should have played the lottery that day when they go, "So what would you like to do?" And as I'd like to play with the Heartbreakers, I love the way they did that record.
Yeah.
I should have played the lottery that day.
Oh,
I wouldn't have to have done anything.
So beautiful, man.
But it was 25 years of just really great creativity, and a great songwriter like Tom. It made my life easier. A guy to write songs like that.
So you've been in many bands,
yeah,
but that's the only band that you've been in for 25 years.
Yeah.
What made it work between the Heartbreakers to last that long?
I don't think that we socialize that much.
You mean together?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you didn't burn out on each other or get frustrated?
No.
Yeah.
I'd see Benmont every once in a while.
Yeah.
I'd see Mike every once in a while. The Dirty Knobs started because we came off of a tour with Tom, and Tom, at the end of a tour, he would always be like, "That's the last time I'm going to do that," and he'd sort of wander around in his house in his robe for a month or two, and then he would finally end up by going like, "Give me that guitar over there," and then you'd start playing a couple of chords, and it'd be the start of a song, and then the process would start again. Yeah.
He'd wait for that inspiration strike to hit him and then just kind of veg out and relax besides that.
Yeah. So he was, but I mean, he always he says stuff like, he said stuff to me once. He said, you know, just because I made a lot of money doesn't mean that I have to stop being an artist. And that meant that he had to keep creating. He had to keep creating music. You know, he had to keep writing. Stuff would he'd see something or feel something, and he would have to write it. It would have to turn into a song.
What was Tom like as a friend?
Great. Just you could talk to him about stuff. He had, you know, I had this experience that happened to me. It was after the Wildflowers tour, and Tom was living down near Pacific Palisades in a house. He was getting divorced, and I found out. I mean, being born in 1950, my mother was English, my father was African. They weren't married. Bad enough in 1950 to have a kid and not be married. To have a kid not be married and with a black man was unheard of, off the charts crazy.
Yeah.
So my mum was off the charts crazy. And so there was all this stuff that went on, like my birth certificate had been tampered with. They changed the I to I was originally FERRONI, and then they did that because when I came out, I didn't have color. I'd look kind of Italian. I looked sort of Mediterranean.
Ferrone.
Yeah. And this midwife had seen this movie or something with a guy named Ferrone in it, and it's Ferrone. You know, let's call him Tony Ferrone. So my middle name's Stephen Arthur. Arthur was my grandfather. Anthony Ferrone. So they changed the I to an E and called me Ferrone when I took color a few days later. They just changed it on the birth certificate, which gave me all kinds of hell when I went to get a passport years later. So, you know, the family was sort of made up of secrets.
Yeah.
You know, people didn't ask. I didn't, you know, if my mom asked anything about my father, my mother would get really pissed off and my stomach would turn when she, you know, it was just full of fear. It was a horrible childhood experience. But I used to have a story that I would tell people when people say, how come you got an Italian name? How come you got a name like Ferrone? Wow. You know, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was a dirty Italian soldier. And he was over in Africa and he was going through the jungle. And he comes out of the jungle and there's a river and he sees my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother bending over doing the washing in the stream. And he took one look at that ass and he fell madly in love and made her Ferrone. Right? And people would do what you would do. They'd laugh. And then they forget about the question.
And you move on.
Yeah, and move on.
Yeah.
It was my defense.
That's great.
Until I met this woman from Austria.
Uh-oh. She wanted to dig in on it.
Yeah. And I told her, gave her the story and she didn't even think it was funny. No sense of humor.
Yeah.
She said, okay, so what's the real story? And basically I didn't know.
Wow.
And she said, where's your father from? Sierra Leone. Oh, you want to find him? Well, yeah, I'd like to. And this gave me the opportunity of finding my father.
What?
Right? She said she used to work for the United Nations, and the United Nations has these detectives that can find anybody. And I'm like, yes. I pulled the trigger on it. So she had these people looking for my dad in Sierra Leone, which is a third world country, fourth world country. They don't have computers when they have to go to the documents. And I gave them both spellings of the name, Ferrone, right? And because that's all I had. I didn't know about the midwife then, right? All I had was that I knew that the name had been spelled Ferroni, and then it got changed with an ink pen to an E. So they start looking and said, we can't find this guy. Can't find him. do you think you could get his birthday? I gotta ask my mom, right? So I put it off. They keep sending me emails and so get Father's birthday. So I finally call up my mother and I say, look, I started looking for Dad. What are you doing that for? Well, because I got a right to know, and my kids have a right to know, and
wow,
I want to know. So I said, I need to know his birthday. She said, I don't know his birthday. I said, you sure nothing? No. I said, well, they said they could find you. I said, I gave them both spellings of the name. She said, what do you mean you gave them both spellings? Well, Ferrone, Ferrone. Your father's name wasn't Ferrone. Here I am. I'm 47 years old. I always thought I had my father's name. My legs turned to water. Right?
Yeah.
My legs just turned to water. And then I just, why you didn't tell me this? Oh, well, it was so long. You know, and I got really angry, really pissed. I hung the phone up on my mom. And I was just stunned. Went out for a drive. Found myself down near where Tom lived. I called him up. He said, oh, come over. I said, I've got some stuff going on. I went and saw him and told him the whole story. And he sat there and he listened to me. He said, oh. He said that. He said, so what was your father's real name? I said, Nicholson. Nicholson. Steve Nicholson on drums. That don't sound good. Steve Ferrone on drums, that sounds good. You made that.
Yeah.
And I got it.
Wow.
It was like, okay, that ain't a problem.
Yeah.
That ain't a problem anymore. Well, anyways, they found a guy over there that had traveled with my father to England, and they thought that he might know something about my father, but he was outside of Freetown, and they had to send somebody out there to interview him from the United Nations. And at that point, Civil War broke out.
Oh,
and they pulled everybody back from the
wow.
Yeah. So years passed after that. I went to Africa. I was in South Africa. And I thought, you know what? I think I'll pass back by through Sierra Leone and see if I can pick up the thread of where he was again, you know. And Ebola broke out.
Oh my God.
So, you know,
your mom sent Ebola. She was like, "Don't stop looking."
I mean, it was kind of funny because I mean, you know, there was those horror stories of people getting their arms cut off with machetes, you know.
Oh, jeez.
And they were doing that, the mutilation. Oh, I was sitting there going, "Oh, my family is this." And then I started to think, well, I don't really know my family, right? And it doesn't seem like the power of the universe wants me to go there.
Yeah.
Maybe my family is the ones that are doing the arms cutting off thing.
Sure.
Maybe they're not the people getting their arms cut off. They're maybe the ones that are doing the cutting, and they're just saying. So I just got to that place of accepting that's it. I mean, I've tried everything. 23andMe.
Wow.
Nothing has showed up from over there at all. Nobody has showed up with from Sub-Sahara.
And
everything is Vikings.
It's all Vikings.
Yeah. There's a couple of black people. Yeah. I guess the Vikings like black people too.
I mean, the universe has been so good to you in so many ways. So you got to follow the path if that didn't open up to you.
Yeah. Stuff just has a way of
that's wild.
Opening up. Yeah.
So yeah, Tom Petty gave you that, and Jeff Porcaro gave you the other one to silence your mind, to make you okay with those moments.
I think that those you never know. You never know what you're going to do or say or what it's going to do to help someone. You know, I have a friend of mine who's a neurosurgeon that reached out to me. There was an imposter online that was trying to charge $500 to do have a meet and greet online. And this guy got in touch with my son. It turned out you know, he tried to do this thing, and then he sort of realized that this guy was a fake, and so he reached out to my webpage, which I don't run. My son runs it, and my son called me up and said, "This guy's reported this. This guy's trying to charge $500." So he got on to sort that out, and I got to speak with Jason. Said, "Would you want to talk to?" I said, "Yeah, sure. It'd be great to talk to him." So I put him on the phone and was talking. Turns out he's a neurosurgeon. Right? He's a neurosurgeon, Rashid, and he lives in North Carolina. And I said, "Well, why did you want to speak to me?" He said, "Well, you did a drum clinic, and I came to the drum clinic, and you were talking about your method that you used of working." He said, "You said that you would rather sit down and work really well for an hour, a half an hour, and then just leave that. Then say I'm going to work for an hour and spend the next half hour not really concentrating, thinking about
whatever else.
Whatever." He said, I applied that to my studies. And he said, "I just wanted to tell you, your drum clinic saved thousands of lives."
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Honestly, I really like that approach, and I'm gonna take that advice as well and try that out.
Yeah. Yeah. I work with guys in my program. I work with guys, and I say, just give me 3 names. Just do 3 names, but the 3 good ones. The 3 names when you're writing your list of people that you have resentments about, the 3 where you've been. Just give me 3 names, 3 really good ones. I'd rather have 3 really good ones in 3 minutes than you sit there for an hour trying to bullshit some up.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, so just give me 3 good names. So that was, but if you can concentrate for that amount of time, then concentrate on that for that amount, and then enjoy yourself.
Yes. And
then come back and you'll be looking, okay, I can work a little bit.
Dive in for another 30.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And you might work 45, because you start to get into it.
Yes.
So it was amazing that I actually got to meet that guy. That he had, showed me a video of a brain surgery that he did, an aneurysm that he did that burst on him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's showing me this thing because I'm intrigued by this, right? And he said, "Well, I'm working in a very small space here." He said, "You can see the aneurysm. Pop! Oh, there it goes. It burst." He said, "The first thing to do is not to panic." And I'm like, "Well, how can you not panic? This thing is like gushing blood there. You can't even see it." He said, "You hear me talking to the anesthetist."
Yeah.
He said, "Basically, I'm telling him to kill the patient.
Wow.
Stop his heart." It stopped his heart. The blood stopped pumping. They could suck it out. He could see what he was doing and put it back together and then restart him.
That's heavy.
He learned how to do that.
Because you're focused. Your drum clinic.
Yeah. He learned how to do that.
So great.
That helped him to focus on.
Well, thank you, Steve Ferrone. Thank you so much. I'm going to save one of my friends.
Isn't that wonderful?
What was the best lesson you learned from Tom Petty?
I think that one that I said not to stop being an artist, not to stop. That was really important.
Yeah.
And the other thing, when we recorded Wildflowers, there was a song that popped out of me as soon as I heard it. Now, you got to remember, I was newly sober, right? And a lot of stuff going on when you first get sober. You stop drinking, but the stuff is still there, or the mess is still there.
Yeah.
And you wrote this song called "Crawling Back to You," and there's one line in that song that popped out at me. And when Tom died, I had it tattooed on my arm.
Oh, what is it?
Most things I worry about never happen anyway.
Wow.
He was he had a kind of smartness about him that was country sort of smart.
Yeah.
That was thoughtful. And I think that reflects in his songs. It was thoughtful. So many people think that they hear a song of Tom Petty that he wrote that about them. You don't know how it feels being the prime example.
For sure.
That was one of those songs that touched people. He could do that.
How do you handle loss? Like when you lost Tom Petty and you've lost a lot of really special people in your life. Like, how do you handle that?
It was such a shock when Benmont called me and told me.
Oh man!
I'd gone to bed early. I was in San Francisco, and I'd woke up and I turned on the TV to put me to sleep, and the shooting in Vegas.
Jeez.
And I was sitting there and I could not believe the noise of those automatic weapons.
Yeah.
And my phone was plugged in on the other side of the room, and it started ringing, and I thought, oh, it's just some people from England because they were worried about, oh, are you there? Forget about it. And the phone stopped ringing. Then it started ringing again. I thought, oh, geez, who is that? And I went over and it's Benmont. So, hey, Benmont, how you doing? And he said something about someone being non-responsive. And it was so far out of what, I mean, I'd just seen him, Tom, like the week before. We were talking about plans, what we were going to do. And Ben's wife was pregnant. And I said, your wife's sick? She's non-responsive? And he said, no, Tom, he's non-responsive. He's gone. And I couldn't believe it. Got up, had a flight, 6 o'clock flight in the morning, back down to Los Angeles. I got down, went over to the hospital and joined everybody, and we stayed there all day with him till he passed. Awful. Sudden, unexpected death. Nothing worse than that. I mean, if you see somebody sick and they're ill and you can probably deal with that. You start dealing with it.
You start processing.
But that quick like that was, it was horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But, the way you deal with it is by turning to your brothers and saying, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
Yeah.
How are you okay? That's it. You care for each other.
Yeah.
That's the only way that I think is possible to do it. We have that in common. We'll always have that in common.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh.
I know it's a big thing, but it's a big part of life. And I know it's something, I mean, you've unfortunately had these experiences. You've had these incredible experiences to have these incredible long, big bonds with these magnificent mega people, and then losing them. Yeah. It's hard.
They're going to lose me one day.
Oh, I think you got a long time, Steve. Steve Nicholson.
That's it. I changed my name. Steve Ferrone's dead, but Steve Nicholson lives on.
Lives on forever. I would love to talk about Michael Jackson for a moment because on the History album, you did Earth Song.
Yeah.
That song is so intense. So epic. What was that session like?
Well, Bill Bottrell was producing that, and they flew me out here at I forget the name of the studio now. Westlake.
Oh, Westlake.
And
a frequent of Michael's.
Yeah,
studios,
he had he had every studio in there was him. He had a room where people were writing, another room where people were doing overdubs, there's vocals, this, that, he had all these rooms. And the room for me to play my drums. Bill Bottrell was exceptional engineer, got a great drum sound. And I'm sitting up there just, it's like we did all the individual drums. And he said, just play some time, and sitting there playing some time. And Michael materialized next to the drum kit. And he said, oh, Steve, do you dance? And I said, are you asking? He said, no, I just felt so good when you played and danced. And I said, well, I used to tap dance, He said, oh, really? So we chatted a bit. And he's always got to listen to the song. We go and we listen to the song.
Steve, do you dance?
Yeah.
Just a childlike question.
Yeah.
So
So he says, I said, what's this song called? He said, Earth Song. So, okay. So listen to it. Okay. The demo, I got the stuff there. Okay. Yeah, I got it. All right, fine. He said, I want you to put electric drums on it. And I said, why would you want electric drums on something called Earth Song? He said, I don't know. I just want some electric drums on there. I said, I'll tell you what I do, Michael. I'll do it for you. But after I've done it on those Simmons that's in there, I'm going to go out there and do it on those. And he said, okay. I said, okay, great. We got a deal. Okay. So off he goes. I mean, me and Bill work on this thing. Get the song, get the parts, get where I got to start, get everything done, get the take, and then I have to do the double triggering. You know, so this was back in the time when there wasn't those nice surfaces. You got, it was that perspex sort of surface would hurt your arm when you hit it with the drumstick because you think you were hitting the drum and you'd hit it hard and it would just go right up to your elbow. It hurt. We get the whole thing double triggering if you hit it too hard. So then they had to go and then fix those spots and we get everything right. Perfect. Great. Make a phone call. We sit there and we wait 20 minutes later. Michael Jackson shows up and he sits there and he listens to the whole song and he says, yeah, that's good. That's excellent. That's really good. I said, I'm going to go do the thing on the real drums now. And he said, oh no, there's no need to do that. And I said, wait a minute. Are you telling me Michael Jackson is going to welch on a deal? And he said, no. I said, because, I'd hate to turn around and tell everybody that, Michael Jackson just welched on a deal that we had that I was going to put real drums on this Earth Song.
Yeah, on Earth Song.
Yeah. He said, okay, just do it. So off he goes again. We go, huge drum sound. Cool. Yeah. Put the thing down. Yeah, done. It's easy because I knew the song.
Yeah.
Make a phone call, sit there, wait another 20 minutes. Michael Jackson shows up. He sits down, song starts. Those drums kicked in. That sucker was up and dancing around the studio, doing all of his thing up on the top. And I said, now you got an Earth Song.
Whoa.
Now you have an Earth Song.
That must have been a crazy moment.
Those speakers was pushing that air off of those
oh my
speakers.
God, and when those drums come in, it is enormous.
Yeah, it was great. It was really cool.
You made him dance everywhere. He couldn't contain himself.
But what an artist, man. That guy's what a great artist.
That's so special.
Yeah.
Wow. Such superstar power. So many different superstars in your life and all in different genres.
Yeah, people said to me, what, you mean you told that to Michael Jackson? And I said, well, he didn't hire me to just sit there. He hired me to play, and I thought I could make it better. I'm going to have a go at making it better.
You probably loved that you actually were real with him and just told him your thoughts. That's why you're there.
We got Earth Song.
Yeah, there it is. No, it's actually Earth Song.
Yeah.
Not synthetic song or something.
Right. Yeah.
I would love to talk a bit about the Johnny Cash album as well.
Yeah.
You end up doing Unchained, American 2 with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Right.
With Johnny Cash, obviously produced by Rick Rubin. I'm assuming that's what made that happen.
Yeah.
Like Rick was like, I want you guys to do it.
Yeah.
But you don't really normally have Tom Petty as a sideman.
No.
Just like you don't normally have Eric Clapton as a sideman with
Tom was like a kid in a candy store. Tom, he's like, I get to play
with Johnny Cash. Yeah, he must have been so stoked, right?
I'm ready.
That must have been such a unique feeling for him to be able to be like, wait, I can support someone that's
absolutely
a hero like Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Well, what were those sessions like?
It was fun. Johnny was just such a gentleman. He's a great guy. Really great guy.
Where'd you do those?
East West.
Oh, at East West.
Studio B, the small studio.
The B room, yeah.
Yeah. It was funny because we did that song. I once shot a man and just to see him die. And I'm like, Johnny, you're a gangster. Yeah. He gave me a record, signed a record. Thanks for playing on my album.
That's awesome.
He's a really, really nice guy. But there was a moment that happened. I ran into Mick Fleetwood. He was up in that other little studio that's up there to the left.
Yeah, like D or something. Yeah.
He was in there with Lindsey Buckingham doing something. I think it was an album Mick was doing. Lindsay was in there.
Nice.
And I just ran into them out in the hallway, and then I went in and we started playing. And Tom said, he said, man, he said, we could use another guitar on this. You know, I forget what song it was. We could use another guitar. He said, who can we get? And I said, you know, Mick Fleetwood's just out there. Lindsay's in there with him. You know. Tom said, do you think they come and play? And I said, I see why not. I'll go and ask him. So I go up, and they're in there working on something. You know? Yeah. And I say, hey, Lindsay, we're down there doing something with Johnny Cash with the Heartbreakers. You want to come down and play with us? You know? And I said, Mick, you want to play tambourine or something? They dropped everything. Sure. They dropped everything and came down, and that was it. We jammed.
Lindsey Buckingham, yeah. Mick Fleetwood, Tom Petty, Heartbreakers, yeah. Johnny Cash, Rick Rubin.
Right.
What a hang. Come on, Steve Ferrone.
Isn't that cool? But the best thing about it that's the best thing about it was like how things used to go down in studios, you know. So somebody's across the street. Ask him if he'll come over and play. And then you just go over and you do it, you know.
Wow.
I mean, that's probably how Eric Clapton got on Why My Guitar Gently Weeps, you know?
Yes.
Eric said, come and play with us.
So you've worked with all these people. Who's the most intimidating person you've worked with? Well,
the one time I got intimidated was early on. I'd done one tour with Brian Auger here in the United States, and we went back. And then he had an album called Closer to It that had got some success. So we came back and we started to play small theaters instead of clubs.
Yeah.
One of those clubs that we played at was in Cleveland. It was called, I believe it was called the Laughing Dog Saloon. It was outside of town in this other neighborhood. But we did this gig in Cleveland. I think it was in that theater that was in Spinal Tap where they got lost. I think we did this gig in there, and it was the same promoter, the same guy who owned the little club out of the Laughing Smiling Dog Saloon. And so we finished the show, and he said, "Do you want to come up to the club tonight?" You know? And I said, "Yo, who's playing up there?" Herbie Hancock's playing up there.
Epic.
Oh. Yes, Headhunters.
For sure. Oh, Headhunters too.
So Mike Clark, Paul Jackson Jr., and Benny Maupin. And so we go up there to the club, and they're sort of like in between sets and take us back into the dressing room, get to meet Herbie. And I sit down and start talking drums with Mike Clark, and I'm like, man, what's it like playing with Herbie? It's got to be fantastic. Oh, man, you want to sit in? Oh, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. He said, okay. So anyways, they go talking. Go out, we sit down and start watching the show, and they start playing. Incredible. Really great. And I told Herbie, I said, I saw you play in Nice with Mondisci. And he said, you were there the magic night.
Oh.
It was one of those shows where they came out and they started playing You Know It When You Get There, and it was everything sounded perfect.
Yeah.
You know? And when they finished playing the song, there was this moment of silence before the whole place just erupted.
Wow.
And I knew it because I was in the audience, and apparently on stage they knew it too because Herbie said it was the magic night.
Whoa.
You know? So he knew that I'd seen them. You know? So sit there and watching them play is incredible. Get to a point, and Herbie looks at me, says, "You want to come play?" Oh yeah, I'd love to. And I get up there, and Mike sit behind Mike's drums. Benny Maupin takes his saxophone apart, leaves the stage. Say, "Oops." Okay? Herbie says, "What do you want to play?" So, Maiden Voyage. You want to play Maiden Voyage? He said, "Okay."
Nice.
So I'm sitting I'm right behind Herbie. Herbie's here. I'm right behind there. He starts to play a cadenza, right? It's the most beautiful thing I ever heard ever. And I'm sitting there behind the drum kit and I'm saying, why did I ask to play with these guys? I'm way out of my league here.
Oh,
I'm out of my depth. This guy is he's just incredible. And I start shaking. My leg starts shaking. My left leg starts shaking so badly that the hi-hat starts going.
It's like a nightmare, actually.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Why did I ask to do this? I can't. I just can't. I can't. Right? And I'm sitting there and my leg's shaking. I'm trying to stop my leg from shaking. It's making noise, but it's kind of hit because he's playing this thing. Right? And then he hits time. Boom, 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 do dee do dum dum dum. And in this point here, I'd say, well, I can't get up and leave. I got to stay here. I got to do something. You know what? Screw it. It's Herbie Hancock. How many times am I going to have a chance to play with Herbie Hancock?
Yeah.
So I went, when he goes, boom, 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 here I come. Boom, back, boom, 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 back, boom, back. And Herbie's like, all right.
Oh, different.
Benny Maupin comes out, sticks his saxophone back together and starts playing. I had a ball.
Sick.
Yeah. It was like I might as well just do whatever I want to do.
Do you?
Yeah, do me.
That's your moment to enjoy. You got to
you got to
take the ride.
Friends with Mike Clark and Bernie and Herbie. You know, as a matter of fact, I had to go and represent because the Heartbreakers wouldn't go anywhere near the Grammys, and I was the only one who would go there because I wanted to go to the party. So they used to make me go to the Grammys. And I had to go to one in the afternoon, and it was I forget what it was for now. I had to go to one in the afternoon, I had to go to one in the evening. And I went to the one in the afternoon, and Joanne Tominaga was there, and she said, "Oh, Nathan's down, and I'll put you down with Nathan." So I go and I sit down with Nathan, and sitting behind us is Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter. And I never met Wayne before, but Herbie was there.
Wow.
And see her, "Hey, Herbie, Steve, hi." We're talking, you know. Wayne turns around, Herbie turns around to Wayne Shorter and he says, "Wayne, have you met Steve Ferrone?" And Wayne said, "No." He said, "Steve Ferrone, he's a great drummer, man." And I said, "I just won the Grammy."
Yeah. That's the moment.
I just won the Grammy. This is better than anything. I don't care what happens. Herbie acknowledged me. That was that kind of
awesome.
Talent.
That is amazing.
I sat next to him once. He was jamming in a club. He sat in with the man, and everybody wanted to play. I played one song, and everybody wanted to play. The Talbot one got up and played, and I'm sitting over next to Herbie, and as he's sitting there playing, he's comping, and all of a sudden he hit this chord that just went. It just made like an enormous wall of sound. And I said to him, I said, "What was that?" And he said, "I got thousands of them." What was that?
It's the best, dude.
Yeah.
It's that kid-like energy too.
Yeah.
So excited about it.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I think I'm going to be remembered for what I want to be remembered for. You know, I've learned. I've learned over the years to be able to have been given the blessing to be able to help people.
Yeah.
And I've had people say to me that they love playing music with me, but it's just nice to be around me, to be that I can be helpful.
Yeah.
In other things, in life things. That they don't have to. That you don't have to worry, that you're taken care of, you know. That most things you worry about never happen.
Yeah.
I have to have it on there so it reminds me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Really, that's it. I don't know if people are going to be talking about me in 50, 60 years. But there's enough music out there, I think, that somebody's going to say one day, who's that playing drums on there? Probably that would be nice too. But the fact that my radio show that I have, I play guys that don't stand a snowball's chance in how I'm getting on the radio. Yeah. And some of them got deals to it. Yeah.
Nice.
That's nice to know.
Absolutely.
And people have called me up and said, "Oh, I saw that band. I wouldn't have known who they were if I hadn't heard them on your radio." So that's nice to do, and it's nice to help the guys that, like myself, have problems with alcohol and drugs.
Yeah,
and come through that.
Yeah,
I love doing that, and so those are the things that I'd like to be remembered for.
Absolutely.
Although I probably get remembered that I had four ex-wives, four children, 2 of them with a wife, and now I have 9 grandchildren who've never seen me drink. Yet. Well, up until today, anyway. So,
well, Steve, we appreciate you, man. Much love. Thank you for coming and hanging, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only Steve Ferrone. Yes, thank you, bro.